Hello everyone. So today in this video, I plan to teach you what are the basic opening principles in chess. Okay, let's get started. So the first basic opening principle is to control the center. Whatever the move, no matter whatever the move you make, you have to control the center. So you have to control the center by playing either e4 or d4 or knight f3 or knight to c3, or else you can contour the center by playing uh, c4 or f4. So first we can learn what are the center squares in the chessboard. Let's get started. So e4, e5, d4, d5. So these four squares in the chessboard is called as center squares in the chessboard. Okay. So you will, no matter whatever the move you make, you have to control the center. Okay. So now I'm gonna teach you a opening. Through that opening, we can learn some basic opening principles. Okay, let's get started. So first I'm gonna make e4. Okay, first I'm gonna make e4. E4 is called as king's pawn opening. E4 is called as king's pawn opening because you are opening a king's pawn, because you are opening up a king's pawn. So after e4, black have numerous way to respond it. So for example, black can play c5, d6, or e5, knight f6, g6, b6, c6. Black has numerous way to respond for the e4. Okay, so e4, but the basic to learn the basic opening principles, we can just I'll make it by just e5, e5. Okay, black is gonna play e5. So here white is also controlling the d5 square, as well as black is also controlling the d4 square. Okay, so after that, natural developing move knight to f3. Okay, the first opening principle is to control the center, because you need to control the center because king is in the center. So when the game of chess will get over, when the game of chess will get ends, the game of chess will get over only when you do a checkmate. So attacking the king is very important. So since the king is in the center, both the king is in the center, so no matter whatever whatever the move you make, you have to attack and try to open the center till the king is in the center. Once the kings get castle, you can initiate and start your attacks on the direction where the king exists. Example, king side or queen side. Okay. After knight f3, knight to c6. So white is playing knight f3 is a natural developing move. They are controlling the center as well as they are attacking the pawn on e5. Now black played knight c6 to see. Idea is simple. Same idea to control the center squares and to control the e5 and to give support to the e5 pawn. After knight c6, the natural developing move, white have three ways to naturally develop the light square bishop. White can play bishop e2, or white can play bishop c4, or else white can play bishop to b5, bishop to e2, or bishop to c5, or white can play bishop to b5. So white have three options here, but I suggest white to play bishop to c4 because there are numerous trap in bishop c4 line. For example, here black can play bishop c5, which is called as gonna transform into a taxler line. So or else the black can go for knight f6 and can accept the fried liver attack. So I have even made a video for fried liver attack in my channel. So those who don't have knowledge about fried liver attack or any idea about fried liver attack, you can go and watch my fried liver attack video in my channel. Okay, so this is fried liver variation. So here after knight f6, white can go either for fried liver attack, or white can simply play knight c3. So knight c3, bishop to c5. So first principle is to control the center, and since the king is in the center, you have to control the center. So this is the first principle. First principle is to have good control over the center. Second opening principle is to develop the knights before the bishop, because you have to develop the knight in the opening before the bishop, because the knight will not control any squares in the home. For example, when you look at this position, okay, in this position, the bishop, when you see the light square bishop, this light square bishop controls the whole diagonal from f1 to a6. This light square bishop controls from f1 to a6 when you look at the light square bishop. But the problem with the knight is staying in the g1. Knight is controlling none of the opponent square. But when the knight gets developed in the opening, when the knight gets developed in the opening, this knight will transform into a octopus knight. Octopus knight means when the knight controls 8 squares or more than uh, only knight can control 8 squares. When the knight controls 8 squares, that knight is called as octopus knight. So you need to make knight to control the opponent square. So knights are basically stronger in closed position and bishops are basically stronger in open position. So first you need to develop the knight, then you have to develop the bishop. So this is the second principle. So the third principle is to castle as early as possible. Because since both of you are having a good control over the center, both of the white and black also trying to open the center. So here you have to do castle as early as possible, because king's safety is very important. Because king's safety is very important. You know why? Because the game of chess gets ended after you do a checkmate to your opponent. So king safety is the utmost thing. So you have to protect the king no matter what. So here the best move for the white is to castle. Here there is a trap. For example, no, my pawn is gone. You don't need to worry about that. You can simply play rook e1. Oh, I will play d5 and I will protect it. So you can here play bishop to b5. After that, if they play something like if they take back the knight, they will lose this pawn. So let's assume if they're playing this move, okay, then also they're gonna lose the thing. For example, we can play d3 here. If they bring the knight over here, you can capture this knight. If they capture like this, there is no issues for you, because now you can capture the knight. Now they can't capture. If they capture your knight, you can capture with the rook. You know, now you don't have any problem. For example, let's take if they play bishop to e6, e6, you can play something like uh, bishop g5, bishop g5. So here there is no problem for you. For example, here if your opponent don't capture this pawn, opponent don't capture this pawn. Let's take your opponent is not capturing the pawn on e4. He is playing simple developing moves. Simple developing moves. He is developing the bishop to c5. If he develops the bishop to c5, then you develop the knight to c3. This is a classical way to open a game. After that, he do a castling. You play d3. He will play d6. After that, bishop to g5. After bishop g5, he will try for do something else like h6. After that, you play bishop to h4, g5, then bishop to g3. Then if we play something like let's take if we play something like bishop d7, you play queen to d7. So connecting the rook is the last principle, opening principle. Okay, first opening principle is to control the center. Second opening principle, you have to develop the knight before the bishop, and you have to develop both the knight and the bishop. Third opening principle, you have to castle. Fourth opening principle, you have to connect the rooks. You need to develop the pieces such a way to connect the rooks. So this is one of the basic concepts of opening principle. Now I will share some basic ideas about the openings. Okay, so when you play e4, there are so many theories in the e4 opening, but in d4 there are no theories. I mean, there is theories, but d4 is based on setup opening. For example, London is purely a setup opening. For example, d4, They will play something like, let's take they're playing, let's take, we can say black play d5. After that you play bishop f4. So when you play bishop f4, this is a London system. After that, if they play something like, um let's take, if they play knight to f6. After knight f6, you play knight f3, e6. You can play, you can also play e3 here. After that, if they play c6, you play c3. C3, knight to d7. Then you can play knight bd2, bishop to e7, then bishop to e3, d3, bishop d3, then black castles, then white also castle. So this is a London system. London system is purely a setup opening. Setup opening. This is another. This is one kind of setup opening. We have another English opening. So English opening starts with c4. Let's take, they are playing e5. After e5, you can play knight to c3, knight c3, knight to f6. After knight f6, e4, e4, knight c6. You can play e3 here. E3, knight f3 or knight f3 first. Then they playing developing move, bishop e7. You can also play developing move here, bishop e2. These all setup opening. English is also a setup opening. For black, actually we can't do that. So for black, we have another setup. So no matter what black plays, either e4 or else d4, you stick up with the same idea. If e4 comes, you play d6, d4, knight f6, bishop c4, g6, knight to f3, bishop g7. So after that, if they do castling, you also do castling. This is Pierce defense. If you play King's Indian against the e4 line, that is called as Pierce defense. This is also purely a setup opening. Or else what you can do here, if white plays d4, you can go for same setup opening, d6, d6. Then after d6, if they play something like knight f3, knight f6, then c4, then you can play g6, knight to c3, bishop g7, e3, kingside castling. So these are the opening principles and setups in the openings. Basic setups, basic ideas in the opening. So as a black, King's Indian defense and King's Indian defense setup is best. No matter whatever white plays, literally you can play King's Indian defense against anything, e4, d4, anything as a black when white, when you are playing against the white. So literally you can play King's Indian against King's Indian defense against any kind of white setup as a black. Okay, so I hope I have explained all the principles of the opening in this video. If you have any doubts about regarding the openings, or if you want any other contents, any other chess contents, you can post in the comment section. I hope everyone liked my video. If you like, share, subscribe. Thank you.